There's a power we all use every single day, often without even thinking about it. And that's the power of our words. Today, we're going to explore how we can turn that power into a tool for building things up instead of tearing them down. Okay, let's jump right in.
It's a question that really makes you pause for a second, doesn't it? Because words, they don't just vanish. They kind of hang in the air, they echo in the mind of the person who heard them, and most importantly, they shape reality. They create a lasting echo. So the real question is, what does our echo say about us?
And that brings us to our first big idea. Every single word, from a casual compliment to a sharp criticism, sends out ripples. And these ripples aren't just some poetic idea, they have a real impact on emotions, on relationships, and even on our own self-perception. Understanding this is really the first step to speaking with intention. Now, this challenge of mastering what we say, it's nothing new. It's a pretty fundamental human struggle. And luckily, we don't have to start from scratch. There's ancient wisdom out there that gives us a clear map, a framework for transforming our words into something that truly builds. And this right here is the source for our whole analysis today. This short verse is just incredibly profound. Notice how it doesn't just focus on the words of my mouth, but it connects them directly to something much deeper, the meditation of my heart. So let's unpack what that actually means. So here's the crucial point. The problem of destructive words doesn't begin when we open our mouths. It starts way before that, in the quiet soil of our own minds. It all starts with the seed of our thoughts. This slide shows us how this all plays out in a really simple three-step process. It's almost like a biological progression, right? The thought is the seed you plant. The word is the sprout that pops up for everyone to see. And over time, all of those sprouts produce the fruit, which is your character. It's a direct and predictable cycle. Now, what's really interesting here is how this demystifies that phrase, meditation of the heart. This isn't about sitting in some special position. It's simply your internal dialogue. It's that voice, that stream of thoughts that runs in the background all day long. It's the soundtrack of your mind. And that's where it all begins. This leads us directly into the next phase. How does that internal soundtrack become the actual conversation we have with other people? Well, the connection is way more direct than we probably think. Think about it like a glass of water. If you're constantly filling it with dirty water, it's just impossible for clean water to spill out when it overflows. It's an overflow principle. If your mind is filled with judgment and negativity, those are the words that are going to spill out. But the good news is, the reverse is also true. All right, so what's the long-term result of this whole cycle? Over time, we're not just speaking words, we are actively sculpting who we are. For better or for worse, we're harvesting our own character. And this illustrates the two possible paths so brilliantly. I mean, look at the difference. If your inner meditation is focused on complaint, on what's missing, your words are going to be full of criticism and sarcasm. The fruit is a character that just drains the energy from everyone around you. But if you cultivate thoughts of gratitude, your words will naturally encourage and your character becomes a source of strength for others. Now let's look at that last part of the verse. Be pleasing in your sight. This isn't about fear or performing for an audience. It's about motivation. It reframes the entire effort as something positive and aspirational. This is such a powerful way to see it. The goal isn't to avoid punishment. The goal is to find joy in cultivating a beautiful inner world, your thoughts, which then produces beautiful outer results, your words. It's a creative act, really, driven by a desire for excellence and beauty. Okay, so we've broken down the concept. We see the path from thought to word to character, but how do we actually put this into practice today, in the middle of all the noise? Let's make it incredibly simple. That's it. It's a tiny habit, but it has the power to change everything. Before you reply in that tense conversation, before you post that impulsive comment, just pause. 5 seconds. And in that pause, ask yourself one simple, direct question. Does this build or does this tear down? That little bit of space can be the difference between regret and restoration. So the conclusion is clear. The words we choose today are the foundation of the person we'll be tomorrow and of the world we're creating around us. By taking care of the garden of our thoughts, we make sure our words are the ones that build, that encourage, and that give life. The final question is, what kind of tomorrow will you start building today?